I myself personally, I tried to maybe read through a script for my stuff more, but I didn't really want to remember what everybody else was doing because I wanted to see it as a fan. So I didn't particularly want to know what was going on except for the through line of what my character was doing, because I'm such a fan of the show and such a fan of all the people that I just wanted to see it when it was done.
Welcome to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home program. I'm Ben Travers from IndieWire. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce the stars from Barry. We have Bill Hader, Sarah Goldberg, Stephen Root, Anthony Carrigan, Robert Wisdom, and Henry Winkler. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. We're happy to be here with you.
Thank you for inviting us.
All right, so to get started, it wasn't announced that season 4 was going to be the final season of Barry until just a few months ago. But Bill, when did you know, and how did you decide to tell the cast?
I think we we started writing or mapping out season 4 during the pandemic. So the summer of 2020 was when we had a Zoom room and kind of walked through what the last season could be. And it actually changed quite a bit. But the one thing that was kind of obvious was, the story kind of ends. And then we didn't really know. And then as we got closer and tried to write some scripts, it was I think this is going to end. And so I think it was kind of close to, I can't remember, but I think it was close to when we were in prep. I was talking to Aida Rogers, our producer, and I was and we talked to HBO and it was yeah, this is it. So, we kind of told I think, who told you guys? Did I tell you guys?
No, I had a conversation with you. Thinking that it was probably
I think the conversation was I think this is it, but I didn't want we hadn't written scripts yet. We hadn't written scripts yet.
Right.
And I had awful fear I was going to say this is it, and then something was going to happen, and then I go wait. You guys have to deal with me for another year.
No, but I always felt like that was correct because this is a guy with PTSD and he's not going to go. He ain't going to go up again. He's only going to get. Whether it's through his own demise or somebody else, it had to probably go.
Yeah,
away.
Once he's caught and the cat's out of the bag, there's not much story left.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot in the past about various directors, writers who are pretty controlling over how much information they want their cast members to have. Henry, I wanted to start with you. Is that something you want to know? Do you want to know A, that this is the final season, and then B, when you're preparing for it, do you kind of want to know all of Gene's arc, or are you just kind of approaching each scene as they come?
What I really, really wanted to know at the beginning of every season was, Bill, am I dead? Am I in this season? Did I get killed?
Sometimes I thought you were dead and you would call me and say, why did you kill me?
That's right. There was a shot outside, but I didn't know who was outside.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I wanted to know. The arc, it's always good for an actor to know the arc. But here's the thing. I would rehearse the scene or the day in my house in LA. I would feel pretty good. I would feel like I'm in control of the material. I know what I'm doing. I would get to the set, and then Bill would show me there were things in the scene I had no idea existed. And all of a sudden I was in Peru. Took me to a completely different country. So knowing, not knowing, it didn't matter because you found out at the moment what was in that man's head.
So talk to me a little bit about what's kind of the key to, you can't really prepare for what's unpreparable, for what the unknown is, but is the key to kind of getting that stuff right, having, a director there who you can constantly talk to? Is it just, knowing your character inside and out? What did you do to kind of be ready for that?
I would just want to say one thing. You see all these people on the screen. Now, some of them I did not act with, and some of them I did. And when you do, they elevate you. Bill and Alec never allowed an asshole on the set. either the crew or the fellow players. And I want to tell you, when you have a wonderful acting partner, you just give it up to the heavens, because you'll get where you need to go.
Yeah, you're supporting each other. And the superlative quality of the scripts and the actors around you, just as Henry says, just lifts you up. I myself personally, I tried to maybe read through a script for my stuff more, but I didn't really want to remember what everybody else was doing, because I wanted to see it as a fan. So I didn't particularly want to know what was going on, except for the through line of what my character was doing, because I'm such a fan of the show and such a fan of all the people that I just wanted to see it when it was done. So
True. And also, I think that the journey of when you read the scene,
yeah,
and on the day, right, exploring and having fun and riffing and coming up with new ideas in the moment, it kind of can change the landscape immediately. Or you say something out loud and you're like, oh, okay, well, like, Bill would come over and be like, that doesn't sound right. So then you kind of go into this process of finding it right there in the present.
Yeah.
And then, so even what we do read, the other scenes of other characters, I mean, I'm blown away by just like how elevated it is. And it's already so good on the page, but then, just the magic that's found in that moment is, it's unparalleled. It's so cool.
There's an expression: if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage.
Yeah. Yeah, it was always such a collaboration, and we were lucky that we were given time to rehearse. Everything was always, talked about as a group, or depending on who your scene partner was. And so there was always so much space to tweak and change things. And I think I learned to trust over the years, whereas the first couple seasons, coming from a theater background, it's like you want to be so prepared and be, word perfect and come in and perform this thing that you prepared. And actually, the beauty in this show was coming in, a little bit kind of unprepared and open and just going, what are we going to do today? And we all kind of surprised ourselves. There was a lot of space to mess around and try things. And there was, Bill always knew what he wanted as well. So there wasn't you're not going to fall off a cliff, but we were able to kind of be really creative, which is rare in TV.
I did a scene. Sarah was done for the day. We hugged. My phone call in the scene was with Sarah. Sarah stayed, sat on the soundstage with me, and did the other end of the phone call.
I'm not going to waste an opportunity to hang out with you, Henry.
With Henry Winkler.
No, but that is...
The pleasure was all mine.
There's so much. There's chocolate bundt cake that you get, and
exactly. I've been talking about your cake all day.
In tiny cups.
If Henry's around, there's always extra cake. There's always extra hugs. There's always extra hugs. Yeah. I mean,
no, we always want to be there
tonight to read those lines.
Yeah, we always want to be there for each other, always, if we can. Absolutely.
Yeah, something happens. Yeah, when it's the other person on the real people there, on the other end of the phone or something. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And with Robert, when we're working with Robert, because Robert is this amazing force, an actor. And I would always be like, I never want to know what Jim Moss is thinking. So I always felt really bad that he wasn't able to do, because his first take, I usually let the first take, we just do it. And then you go in and give notes. And the first take, I would always walk over to him and he'd be like, too much? And he's like, I'm barely doing anything. And I'm like, I need nothing, any smiling, you have a light in your eye, your eyebrow went up like this. I'm so sorry. This is great Robert wisdom. So you're just like, I'm so sorry. But he then brings it, and he's so good this season. And also, one of my favorite scenes of the entire show is the scene between Henry and Robert in the end of season 3.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
That
you talk about his force. You talk about Robert's force. When I did those scenes nose to nose, I felt my hair blowing in the wind.
Henry cried for real. If you see the full take, Robert yells, and then Henry starts crying, and you hear Gavin Kleintop, our AD, go, "You just made Henry cry." And I go, cut. Oh, we all go in there. Hey, man, you okay? You know,
So good.
It's amazing.
So powerful. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask Robert, again, since like you joined the cast later than everybody else, I wanted to ask about, I mean, this may have been answered a little bit by what Bill was saying about how he directs you, but what were you told about Jim Moss initially that really helped you kind of sink into the character? And then what is it that you're going to kind of take away now that you've gone through a full season, gone through season 3, like been with this cast for a while? What are you going to take away from Barry when you walk away?
Man, well, briefly, I mean, on the first part of your question, when I sat in that truck with Steven, when the characters first introduced, and that skill set, when I made my my captor go out and commit suicide, and Steven's response was so fucking funny, and part of me, I was still a fan of the show, more fan than actor. I cracked up, you know, just because I'm sitting next to Stephen Root, he's killing me. And then I could put a cork in it, and then we went in to the guy to watch Henry woo this woman, my daughter, who's a detective and who's sharp as a tack, and then she finds herself in this situation where she gets disappeared and nobody knows why or how. That was, in that first year, was so clear, being a fan of the show, that I had to contain her. And then when they gave me my skill set, meaning this, what's the name of the organization that I know what you're talking about. No, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You don't know, I don't know. But anyway, it's like DCIA kind of shit. And so
ops thing, or something like that.
Some kind of, you know, I bought that book. You know,
I did.
It's about that
An eyebrow.
Yeah, I was looking at your eyebrows, man.
I had so much stuff I was going to do.
I wasn't listening to anything coming out of your mouth.
I was like ordering stuff, you know, different. So, but man, what I'm going to take away from the show is this, man. It's just like the best group of fucking people you can hang with, you know. And, you know, getting to know Sarah and I didn't get a chance to do a lot together. I sat in the car and watched her go in her house once, but, you know, we would sit in chairs and kind of catch up on life. And Steven and Henry and I eat burgers, and I love Bill Hader like a motherfucker, you know. So it's like, this is what it is, man. This is what I walk away with.
Yeah.
Favorite Jim Moss line that no one laughs at, as you say, was when Steven says to you, "Wait, you got your interrogator to kill himself?" And you say, "Yeah, you know, my friends say I have an aptitude for it, but I thought they were just being nice."
That says the whole thing about you. That's hysterical.
I had an aptitude for it. I just thought they were being nice.
You guys touched on this a little bit too, in terms of kind of having the rehearsal time and being able to work together. But one of the things that struck me, especially as the series progressed, was just how many long takes and how much blocking is involved in shooting these scenes. Like, there really is kind of a visual language to the show and very specific things that happen, you know, all within the frame and moving in and out of the frame. I wanted to ask, and I mean, everybody please talk about this, but I wanted to start with Anthony, because there's a scene in the 4th season, without spoiling anything, it's at Dave & Buster's, that just seemed really, really high energy and really, really fun. But for you, like as an actor preparing for that one, like, what do you know about the blocking and the setups before you get to the set? And then, like, how do you prepare for it, and how fun is it and collaborative is it to kind of get into all that stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, we're going to Dave & Buster's, so you know that it's
a real Dave & Buster's. That's an active Dave & Buster's.
Exactly. But I think the shot, is like all in one take, and very challenging. I think just on a purely technical level. So it's the kind of thing that you need to figure out just the logistics of it, and then. Yeah, so in a sense, there's a kind of element of choreography that you got to kind of nail down just to make everything work. But then also there's another level to it of, like maybe the characters are kind of choreographed in a certain way, and it's one of those things that you got to nail the technical part of it, of like hitting this part, at a certain moment, but then also you got to try to add those little flourishes here and there too. So yeah, I love that scene. I had such fun time.
I say something about that scene. Well, one, I want to mention Michael Irby, who plays Cristobal, is just an unbelievable actor. Mm-hmm. And watching him and Anthony work in that scene was really fun. And there's a moment in it, because I don't know, there's a thing in a lot of gangster movies where they get the families together around a round table and the heavy circles the table like that, And so it was like, oh, let's have them do that. But what if it's two guys and they keep crisscrossing each other, so no one really knows where they're supposed to look because they keep crisscrossing each other. And then while we were doing it, I went over to Anthony and we had the same thought, which was, shouldn't I run back?
I love that.
Over to I go, yeah, why don't you try that on this one?
And you run behind him?
Right. Yeah. He hightails it around to get back to his mark, basically. And Carl Hersey, our DP, was in the DIT tent, which is a big tent, so he can, there's no glare and he can watch it. And he didn't know we were going to do that. And when Anthony did that, Carl fell backwards out of the tent laughing. Aida Rogers was going, like, don't ruin the take. It's the take we ended up using. And he was laughing so hard at that.
And then what about
failing memories? I missed the take. We had to watch it back because we all turned to Carl and jumped on it because he was just fully fell over.
What about when you end on the waitress to take the order?
She was fantastic.
Oh my God.
She was fantastic. And let me tell you, day player shows up and I was watching her and she's going just cool as a rock. If I was in that part, I'd be shaking because I'm like, you got to come in right at the right moment. You got to nail your line. It's my only line. I'm a day player, and she was so confident, chilling, whatever. And at the end of the day, I was like, if I'm on a plane, I want you to be the pilot. You were so chill. She just came in, nailed it, went home. I was like, yeah, she was amazing.
That was the scene, boy.
Well, does anybody have any examples of similar kind of challenging moments when you were making the show over the course of these seasons that, either felt like they were a bigger challenge than you were expecting or just kind of surprised you with how easy they went? But it's just that so many of these scenes in Barry seem like they're both designed to have a lot of fun and allow the actors to have a lot of fun, but they're also, very meticulously crafted so that, there's specific things that need to happen in specific areas where you need to land. You have to hit these comedic beats, you have to hit your marks, you have to hit all these things, and yet you're also just very loose and able to, go with it and explore.
Bill is very generous, and he will laugh at something you do. He will tell you that you're in the wrong direction, and like that. Did I interrupt you?
No. I was just you go, Henry.
No, I'm done. I mean, that's true. He laughs in the middle of a scene.
Yeah,
I do.
And I was just going to say, whenever there's something that looks technically really challenging, it is, and the way we get around it is prep. We like the top of season 3 when Sally's on the Joplin set and we have that huge long shot that goes from her entering the studio into all the different department heads are coming up to her. That was our first day back after COVID. And there were a dozen day players, everybody who had to hit a specific mark with their one line. And the whole thing was choreographed like a musical. So we took a day before we shot it to fully rehearse it like a musical so that when we were actually rolling the next day. I think we only did about 4 takes. And like the collective euphoria when we all hit it. I mean, it's like a dance, and it's so much fun. It's like theater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you did such a good job with that. That's a big thing about that take. Thing I always remember was Sarah did an amazing job of looking like she's walking fast.
Yeah,
that was the hardest thing. 4 seasons of TV.
You have to look like you're in a hurry, but you actually have to look slow.
Mm-hmm.
And she is doing that and talking and giving lines like she's hurrying, but if you saw it, she's actually walking incredibly paced up, and it's like this. It's like a rhythm. And that was that first day, that rehearsal day, where I just remember going up to her, and it was Carl Hersey, our DP's very first day on the job, was that long take, and I just was like, you have to walk really slow. She's like, but I'm in a hurry. You gotta look like you're in a hurry.
Slower. No, still slower. No, look faster. Look slower.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think at one point you said, if I do that, I'll be walking. It's like, I'll just be
walking.
I'll just be walking. And I'm like, oh no, we can't have that. But walking speed, but it looks like you're hustling. Yeah.
The urgency.
Yeah.
But it's such a detailed thing anyway.
One thing that really, one scene that pops out for me before I joined the cast was the little girl at the end who goes batshit, and watching that was like nothing I've ever seen on TV. She was amazing, the way it was shot.
It was great.
And that fight with Bill and her father in the store, which just, it was like one of those scenes that just no one said cut. It just kept going. And those two things, I mean, made me a fan for life. That little girl was off the chain.
She just, I think, graduated high school.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, her mom's a stunt woman on the show, and she showed me a picture, and it's her and her prom date. You know, and she was
terrifying.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, better watch out.
She's only so little a minute ago.
Yeah, she didn't knock the shit out of anybody. But yeah, the first video I ever saw of her was her on top of a house, and then she ran along the top of a house, and then she jumped on the hood of a car that was moving at like 4 miles an hour. And Wade Allen, our stunt coordinator, showed me this. And then the next video was her in a football helmet headbutting a goat. And knocked the goat out. He ran up and boom, and the goat fell down like that. And then the goat and her started. And I was like, all right, yeah, okay.
You got the job, kid.
I'm sure that's very similar to everyone else's audition tapes.
That's exactly.
For
Henry's audition.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like Henry Winkler for Gene Cousineau.
All right. Well, I could talk to you guys for hours, but I have to let you guys go. Thank you so much for being here today. And on behalf of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, I want to thank you for sharing your experiences, process, and craft with your fellow performers. Thank you all again.
Ben Travers, thank you.
Thanks, Ben.